Okay, so let's talk about the Thanksgiving movie, the ending, and where could we go with a sequel here. This is Eli Roth's latest film, which is almost about to surpass its budget at the box office. So that means we could possibly be seeing a sequel sometime pretty soon. But let's get right into the movie and where do we go from that ending. So of course, after a wild chase and just trying to figure out who the killer was, who was wearing that John Carver mask, and more specifically, what was the reason behind all of this that was going on. There were a lot of suspects. I will say that I think that the story did a pretty good job at subverting expectations of who the killer could be and really coming across as a real mystery, honestly. A lot of times in these movies, there's a lot of moments in it where you can kind of figure out where this movie's going. I will say Thanksgiving did have enough twists and turns to keep you guessing throughout. Now, in my opinion, I think that the writing and some of the characters weren't that great, and that's one of the reasons I just thought this movie was okay, and I really don't see the big appeal about it. But I can honestly be happy for everybody who loves it, and I will definitely be watching the sequel, hoping we get some things fixed that I didn't enjoy from the first. So let's get right into this movie and where did we go from here. So as we know, there was a big chaotic scene at the beginning of the movie during a Black Friday event at a sort of Walmart type store. And so a lot of people died, a lot of tragedy in the town and all of that. And then we ultimately see these friends sort of start to be picked apart and everybody else who was involved in that Black Friday massacre, as they're calling it. So now we have the killer going out and about trying to pick everybody apart, and by the end of it we realize that it was none other than the sheriff who we had seen throughout the whole movie apparently was going to be solving the case, which is Sheriff Eric Newland, played by Patrick Dempsey, who of course is the sexiest man alive and is now going to also be in Ferrari by the end of the year. So pretty big year for Patrick Dempsey. He is the new slasher and he's going to be in Ferrari and was also voted the sexiest man alive. So interesting stuff right there. So by the end of it, however, we see that our final girl, who was played by Nell Verlaque, Jessica, was also here and heard the confession happen, but was also live streaming it as her suspicions had been that this was the killer. They try to escape and ultimately they are able to escape, her and Bobby, who is her ex-boyfriend at the time, and we see that they are able to blow the sheriff up with a musket and a parade balloon, ultimately engulfing them in fiery flames. And by the end of the movie, they say they could not find Newland's remains, but there is no way that he would be able to survive that explosion, right? Yeah, we never trust that in movies. If there's not a body, they're coming back. We see that Jessica has been having nightmares of a Newland on fire attacking her, and that's how the movie pretty much ends. So we find out that Newland did all of this because they were in love with the wife of their friend, and they were going to sort of have a whole thing together. They were having an affair, and at the time of her death, she was actually pregnant with Newland's baby. So Newland just sort of snapped because he blamed the friends for everything that happened because they were the ones who got the crowd riled up because they went into the store before it was open for anybody on Black Friday. So they were just pretty much the responsible ones in his opinion. So at the end of it, as I said, we saw that they made the whole warehouse go on fire and we thought that Newland would be dead. But of course, it seems that that might not be the case, and we might just have a whole thing in the sequel where Newland might come back, and we could pretty much see that things are about to get out of hand, as most of the group of friends did survive. I believe there was only one of them that didn't survive, and so that's the only one we won't have, but we did have Addison Rae surviving here, so we could probably see a sequel where we see Addison Rae as well as Nell Verlaque and the other people who survived coming back and still being tormented by Eric Newland. I don't see a possibility of them having another different killer. They could definitely just continue with Newland being the killer for sure in the sequel. I don't know if they were to ever take Patrick Dempsey out and have another killer and turn it into Scream-esque. Other people here I see could become the killer John Carver in the future because I don't see anything happening to anybody that we know like on the screen, so it would definitely have to be Newland again. And if they want to make this into a franchise, maybe in the next one, like the third one, they could have somebody else completely different don the John Carver mask for whatever reason that it is. If there's not a body found at the end when they supposedly killed the bad guy, then the bad guy's still out there. That's always the rules. I don't make them. That's just how the movies are. So I could definitely see Newland returning in another movie and being the next big bad again. Not the next one, because he already is, right? But that's definitely my thoughts here going into the second one. As I said, there's a lot of unsolved things still to go here, and I think that there is still some more characters that can pull from that night that would actually maybe be enticed to do what John Carver did because maybe something that happened to them that night. And it could always be an interesting thing to keep going back to that Black Friday all those years later because somebody's plotting their revenge. Maybe they saw what Newland did and they got inspired now to continue the legacy of John Carver and making these people pay for sure the Walmart-esque place. And I'd be interested in seeing how that plays out. I think they did a great job at really giving us something different than what we've been getting from these slashers, especially a Thanksgiving Black Friday movie. I thought that would always be a great thing to do because the horrors of Black Friday, usually people are not their best that day. So I think that this definitely showcased that very well. And I think that we could definitely be on the verge of something great. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of Thanksgiving like I see a lot of people are. I thought it was just okay. I didn't think it was amazing. I didn't think it was the best. And it's not even in my top 5 for the year when it comes to horror. I do think that it's better than a lot of movies we've gotten, but I don't think that it would be that high up for me. But like I said, I'm happy for y'all if you're enjoying it. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on a sequel and what would you love to see? Do you think Patrick Dempsey should return as the killer, or should it be somebody completely different that we haven't met yet and was there that night and they are also trying to seek revenge and sort of got inspired by Newlands to do all of this that they're about to do in the sequel? Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. But as always, that is going to do it for me. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're giving that notification bell turned on. Follow us on Instagram. We're running giveaways all the month long, all year pretty much, until we get to 1,000 subscribers, followers on Instagram. So make sure you're following us over there. And as always, that is going to do it for me. I'll see all of you next time. Follow us on all our other socials, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, all that good stuff. And I'll see all of you next time. As always, stay safe, stay positive, y'all.